This episode of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast was recorded on January 17th, 2021. So if there's any motorsports news that came out after then, of course we missed it. And there's a slight trigger warning in this episode, just in case, in the event that there is some slightly mild language used. We don't want that to trigger you, so please watch your caution. Thank you. Enjoy the episode.
What's going on, everybody? Live from Indianapolis, it's Indy Boys Racing Podcast. My name is Tristan Grider, a.k.a. the main man that's obsessed with the cane man, and I'm here with Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. How are we doing today, boys?
Oh, I'm phenomenal. I'm just ready to get on with episode 2, y'all. And while you're listening to this, episode 1 is out right now, so that's cool. But
Real exciting.
what you got to say, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm super excited just to talk about some solid racing. Let's get this on.
Yup.
Let's get this going.
All right, guys, so we're going to talk about some motorsports media here, and I'm going to start with the IndyCar news because we've had a pretty solid amount of IndyCar news in the past week. So starting off, this happened the day after we recorded our last video, so it is kind of late news, but Conor Daly did indeed re-sign with Ed Carpenter Racing, taking up that spot for the 20. A lot of people weren't very surprised because they said that it was going to be a very popular announcement when they did announce it. And the reason he was able to do this is because they found the new sponsor for him, which is BitNile, which is a Bitcoin and crypto company, which is really interesting because obviously Ed Carpenter Racing has had some sort of relationship with Bitcoin and the whole cryptocurrency side of things. And it's really interesting to see that kind of take more shape in IndyCar and motorsports as a whole. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could talk about it. Sorry, excuse me. It's really cool to see some more cryptocurrency in autosports. Of course, we have Landon Castle with his extreme relationship with Voyager, more on the NASCAR side of things. But when me and Daniel had the pleasure of meeting Rinus VeeKay earlier this season, obviously the main man who drives the Bitcoin car last season at IndyCar, and he told us more that it was the parent company that was sponsoring him, and since they didn't want to put the parent company on there, they put Bitcoin on there instead, since it was the parent company that I guess runs Bitcoin, which I thought was really interesting. So I do wonder if it's a similar situation with the Conor Daly BitNile sponsorship. But that car does look really, really pretty. It's a very eye-catching car, very bright. The brightest car that I've ever seen Daly drive. Because I guess everyone kind of gets used to Daly running the Air Force colors. And it's going to be a different sort of sponsorship, but couldn't be more thrilled for that 20 team. Daly is a very solid driver. Obviously, not the most incredible driver, but always has success at the 500 and on the ovals. Would love to see him run a little bit better on the road courses this season, but couldn't be more thrilled for Daly.
Man, for real. Indy boy. So, we got to support. But,
Obviously.
I'm just excited Conor Daly found him a ride. I'm just excited that he's going to be back this year because I remember last year at the 500, oh my God, I never heard a place. It was almost as loud as when Elio won when he took the lead in the 500 last year. It was crazy. But, yeah. I'm just excited that he has a ride, so.
Yeah, I think he's really going to impress again because people forget that last year, even though Rinus VeeKay had a very strong start to the year, he kind of had a slump towards the second half of the season, and Ed Carpenter Racing really thrived under Conor Daly in the second half, even though he kind of started with a rough first half, all before the 500.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if the entire team can just find some consistency and what's going to happen with them. And then our second bit of IndyCar news. So Tony Kanaan has officially been confirmed that he will run the Indy 500 with Chip Ganassi in a fifth car because obviously last year he ran all the ovals because Jimmy Johnson was not running the ovals, so he ran the 48. This year he will be in a fifth car because Jimmy Johnson is now doing full-time. And I think people are interested to see what car he's in because obviously he's not going to be taking any of the main four cars. I have seen a rumor that Alex Palou, instead of running the 10, will run the number 1 because that's typically what champions do after they win the first one. So maybe we see Kanaan back in the 10 again. Maybe we see him in just a whole new number. No one really knows, but it is confirmed that he will run the 500 because of his contract. And then the last bit of our IndyCar news kind of came as a surprise today. I was not expecting to talk about this.
I did not see this coming.
AJ Foyt decided that they were going to run a third car this season being the 11 car, and the main driver of this is going to be Tatiana Calderon. I was not surprised that she was the driver. I was surprised that they announced it as a third car, because obviously when they announced Kirkwood for the 14, even though Calderon had done some tests in the 14, I kind of thought that was all said and done. But I am excited to see them run a third car, and even though she's only going to do road courses and street courses, that's still going to leave an open seat for the ovals because it is a third full-time car. So maybe we see Charlie Kimball or let's see, who else?
Hunter
Who
Ray.
else ran? Maybe we see Hunter Ray, J.R. Hildebrandt again.
Ooh,
Obviously,
yeah.
he ran in the 500 with AJ Foyt last year. Heck, we could even see, because it's a part-time spot, we might see Bourdais come back just for those oval races.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I'd be excited to see that. So I'm excited to see what they do with those remaining races, and I'm excited to see how Tatiana Calderon does. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
You
Okay. Yeah, really exciting to see Calderon get a part-time ride. I was hoping for the full-time ride. I was with you, Daniel. I really thought she was going to get the 14, but obviously that went to last season's Indy Lights champion Kirkwood. You guys know how much I love Kyle Kirkwood, so I was not angry with that ride. But I was surprised that Tatiana Calderon did not get the full-time ride. So that's why when I saw that announcement, it came out. What was that? 9
a.m. It was
9 a.m. It was a
first in
drop
the morning.
because I was waiting for the Live Fast announcement, which we'll talk about later. But much more exciting news with the Tatiana Calderon announcement. Very exciting for her. I do wonder if she will run with other cars. Maybe see if she gets a one-off for the 500, which would be extremely interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know where she would go, but it would very exciting to see what she can do on the road courses. And yeah, Jay, what you got?
I was just gonna ask, cause AJ Foyt's the 4 and the 14, aren't they?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's what I thought. What number do you think she'd be running in?
She's gonna run the 11.
She's gonna run the
It was
number
11?
number 11.
Okay, I didn't think I saw a number, so I didn't know. So yeah.
Because I thought TK was gonna run the 11 when it was announced that he was running the 500, because the 11 was the first car that he really had success in, but then revealed that Calderon will be running the 11.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
cool.
where the rumor came from, that Conor will be running the 10 this season instead of Hello.
All right, that's
So
cool.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, so that's about all on the IndyCar side. Obviously, Tatiana Calderon getting signed is big news. Fun fact, just before I move on, she did run, I believe, was it the Japanese Supercars Championship? I could be messing that up, but it did take place in Japan, and that's actually where Alex Palou came from. So
I didn't know
I'm
that.
not saying that she's going to come out and win the championship this year, but it is just something to note that she does have a similarity with one of the top stars. So yeah, besides that, that's all the IndyCar news. I will move on to Tristan with the NASCAR side of things.
All right, so no crazy drops in NASCAR nothing crazy on the Cup side of things, but I will go over some little announcements. I guess this is our only full-time announcement. Cody Ware has officially signed with the same team he ran last season, Rick Rowe Racing, to drive the 51 car. He will be in this car full-time. And so last season was obviously rumored to be a full-time season, and it ended up being full-time except for one race, I believe. But this will be a full-time ride in that 51 car. So great for Cody Ware. We love that man. Josh Bilicki has confirmed that he will run 25 races with Spire Motorsports. The first of these is going to be at Auto Club. So as of right now, that 77 car will not be run by Josh Bilicki for the Daytona 500, which leads the rumor of who will be in that car. If I had to put my money on anyone, I would put it on Ryan Preece. But another suggestion and a lot of people's opinions is that 77 car is going to be someone that is in like the Chevy development program. So maybe a Josh Berry could be running the 500. I could see Allgaier hopping in that 77 car again for the 500. No one knows yet. Maybe Jamie McMurray comes and runs it again.
No
idea.
Is Gregson running the 62?
Yes, Gregson,
Okay.
I believe.
I couldn't remember if that
he
was
is, right?
confirmed or not. I think so, but I just couldn't remember that. I was about to say Gregson because you said Chevy Development, so. But
Yeah.
alright, my fault.
We could even see maybe Sam Mayer runs that. He might be a little. Well, he's only, what is he, 19 years old?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. Maybe they'll give him another year in that junior equipment before they throw him in the Cup. Live Fast Motorsports has officially announced a technical alliance and sponsorship increasement with Motorsports Games. Not revealed if this is going to be a full-time sponsorship or not. I read through the article a couple times, couldn't see it. But this is interesting. They will be testing all of Motorsports Games like equipment and giving them feedback on the games. Obviously, Live Fast Motorsports 78 car was very heavily featured in NASCAR 21's Ignition. Very interested to see how that goes. Also, we could be seeing some testing for the future Ignition games and possibly for the Indy Car game, which is rumored to be coming out in 2023, which I am very, very excited for, and I really hope they don't screw up. So we'll see about that one. Moving more onto the Xfinity Series side of things, CJ McLaughlin has announced 13 races with Ryan Sieg Racing, RSS Racing in the 38 car. Very exciting to see CJ kind of get more of that part-time ride. I believe last season he drove for them in the 93, so cool to see him in that 38 car. Timmy Hill and MBM have announced that they will be running the 66 in Xfinity, and they will be using Hendrick engines for that Daytona race. So that is really exciting. Oh, for the Daytona race. I forgot to specify that. But yeah, that's really cool. And then the final big announcement, this one is huge, and a little bit of controversy over this. I am very excited. Jay's real excited. Dan's real excited. Ice Cube will perform at the LA Clash. Bomb, like, incredible. Like, that's awesome. Kind of like, it reminds me of like a halftime show.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, this sparks some debate with some individuals. We're not going to go down that road. But I mean, come on. It's an exhibition race. They've had people perform at exhibition races in the past. We saw it last season at Texas, right before the All-Star race. No one had a problem with that one.
Right. Why is it a big problem now?
Why is it a big deal? But super excited to see Ice Cube perform at the LA Clash. I saw on Twitter that Danny B said that he has never seen an Ice Cube concert, so he's really excited for that Ice Cube concert.
That'd be pretty cool.
So good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But real exciting for that. Gonna definitely be tuning into the LA Clash, and should be pretty dope. All right, Jay, on to your announcements for F1.
Okay, I have some for F1 and the Chili Bowl that was ran the other night. I'll start off with the Chili Bowl because it's a little bit quicker to go through. But so in the Chili Bowl news, Tanner Thorson ended up winning the Chili Bowl. Christopher Bell finished second, and Rico Abreu finished third. But it was a pretty intense couple like the last week I think it was. But I think Chase Elliott went for a crazy ride the other night. Santino Ferrucci did too.
It was Rocket League.
I seen that. I think I seen that meme.
That was my
funny.
favorite meme of the Chili Bowl.
I think I seen that one. But no, congrats to Tanner Thorson for sure. That's a big feat, especially in dirt racing. That's probably that's like the Super Bowl of dirt, basically.
Oh yeah, pretty much that. And Knoxville Nationals, I'd say, are like the biggest dirt races.
Oh yeah,
and that super cool for
between those two.
Yeah. So now going over to F1. So all teams. There's not a bunch of big news, but over in F1, all the teams have confirmed their lineups, but we can still put an asterisk next to Lewis Hamilton's name. And the testing schedule for 2022 will be released here in the near future. Aston Martin, McLaren, and Ferrari are set to reveal their 2022 liveries next month, towards the beginning of next month, like the 10th to like 17th area around there. But yeah, and now this is like the biggest news that I could find within the last week, just reading through a couple articles. So now once the FIA concludes their findings from the Abu Dhabi investigation, if it doesn't turn out the way that Lewis wants it to, or like he doesn't agree with it or whatever, and he does retire, Sebastian Vettel will actually step into that Mercedes spot with George Russell.
Ooh,
Ooh, yeah.
that is some news, man.
Oh, definitely.
When I read through that article, man, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
well,
especially
it's
Go ahead.
speculated. It's just speculated that it's gonna be Sebastian Vettel. That's like the first eyes that everybody's looking at currently. But I mean, I could believe it. So
Do you really think that Lewis is going to retire? Because I can't see that happening.
I don't know. I mean, Lewis has already made his name, man. Like he's big with fashion. He's big with
102
racing.
102 wins.
Yeah, he's got like he's installed.
Is
his
it
name
102 or
into-
is it more now?
I think it's 102. I want to say it's 102.
They might, because I think
100.
I think Kyle Busch has the same amount of Xfinity wins.
Yeah, I can't
I don't
remember.
know. That's just
But-
a random stat I have in my head. I don't know.
But yeah, no. If he retires, I mean, he's not. It's not like his name's gonna fall like the spotlight or anything. Like he's got a perfect like career set up behind him, especially with fashion and like I think he does some stuff with like videography and photography too to go along with fashion, of course. But
He's a knight now. He's literally a
yeah,
knight.
for real.
Like,
Like he's written in the
you
history
have to say
books
sir
now.
in front of his name now. Like,
Exactly.
He's made a mark.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. He's in Cars 2. What else does he have to accomplish?
He's in the best like racing movie of all time almost. No, I'm just playing. I'm definitely just playing about that. But no, I thought I thought that was just very interesting. So yeah, that's all I got for over here on this side, on the F1 side of things. So
All right, it's a pretty solid episode there for Motorsport Media. Let's move on to our next segment. Let's get it going.
okay, so this next segment was supposed to be a lot longer, but we kind of went ahead and limited. Me and Tristan felt like our part of this segment was kind of boring, so we just went ahead and kind of deleted our parts of this segment. And Daniel's is definitely the best part of the segment. Like it has the most energy to all of us. So we went ahead and just left it in, more entertaining for you guys, and it makes the podcast a little shorter as well. Basically, this next segment was supposed to be our favorite races of the 2021 motorsports season, in which Tristan's was Bristol Dirt last season in the NASCAR Cup Series, and mine was Race 29 Beer Paris Sydney Super Night in the Rimco Supercar Series. Yeah, that race was great, and the Bristol Dirt race was also great. Yeah, we just felt that Daniel's race was a lot more entertaining for you guys to listen to or watch, so we just went ahead and left that one in here. So yeah, enjoy this next segment.
So I had the Nashville race for the Indy Car season. Now the reason I chose this, not because it was my my favorite race or the best race, but it was the most chaotic race. It was definitely something, and a lot of eyes were on it because it was a new track, and it was on the streets of Nashville, which is a really cool concept, just in concept. And so people were very cautious and excited to see this. So, do you want to get it pulled up?
Yeah,
I
I got
can
it
pull it
right
up.
here.
Okay.
Something I want to say really. Can I say something real quick
Yeah,
about
go for it.
Nashville? Something that I noticed is that I've never seen an Indy car race get like media attention as much as the 500 does than the Nashville race. I saw commercial after commercial for the Music City Grand Prix.
They were pushing it
And
real hard. It was
They
crazy.
for real pushed it. We saw Marco Andretti in commercials. I think they had Brad Paisley in commercials.
Yeah, probably.
Like it was a big like commercial investment. And obviously it was
It worked.
chaotic, but it worked. And for a lot of people this was their favorite race of the not for Daniel, but for a lot of people this was their favorite races. So yeah, let's go ahead and check it out.
My take on this race, it's kind of like one of those movies that's so bad that it's just really, really good. Like I did very much enjoy this race, but almost kind of for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Now, like
Yeah,
they
no
did have
Sharknado.
very good moments in this race. There were some moments of very great racing, but then there were some moments where you just wondered how many brain cells some of the drivers had. Not a knock on any of the drivers. Obviously, very
Yeah.
difficult track, but if y'all are ready,
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna start it in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Okay, so starting off, Colton Herta was on the pole for this race. He dominated all the practice sessions. That's my boy, so I was very excited for this race, obviously.
Couldn't tell by the outfit. Couldn't
Yeah,
no,
no,
the whole
definitely
outfit.
couldn't tell. But the chicanery for this race was very tight, and obviously that caused a lot of the issues. Here on lap 2, Dalton Kellett's car just stalled. That's kind of when I think a lot of people realized, like, all the concerns that we did have about this race just being a caution fest. When you see a caution like this where it wasn't even really on the track, obviously this one is the biggest story of the race.
Yeah.
Ericsson went in the air.
Oh, Jesus.
The nose of his car was hanging by a thread. Here's where Scott McLaughlin's car.
He got turned by Ed
He got Ed
Jones.
Jones. He got Ed Jones.
Can we call it Jones instead of Sodded now?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
we
what we
could.
can
For
do?
sure. No, being sodded is when you just dive bomb into the corner and have no human life.
And then right here, Will Power just forgot how to drive for a second and ended up.
When does he not?
He ended up causing a
can we pause?
pileup. What was that?
Can we pause real quick? But you can keep talking. But
Yeah. So this moment, Will Power he got pushed into the wall a little bit and caused a bit of a pileup and a traffic jam. Obviously, his teammate Simon Pagenaud got caught in the wall, and literally every car that wasn't in front of them was stopped in this. This is kind of what everyone was worried about. Obviously, like, there had been some cautions and stuff prior to this, but this was when it really started ramping up to be a crap fest.
But I have something to say about this race that I really didn't like. So I really hated the restart section because you talked about it. It's real tight. I was going off on Twitter during this entire race.
Oh, I remember.
I hated the restart area. Hated the restart area. I wish they just kept it like where the start area was and just the pit lane was on the backside or something. Like that would have been fun.
Right.
But like, why? Why do you have the restart zone in the one of the tightest parts of the track? That's like putting it up in the upper portion of the track where they're in like the Baku type section up there.
Let's start Watkins Glen in the S's. Let's do it.
No. Oh God, no. But like for real, like why did you start the race in one of the the second tightest section on the track? Like, come on, you got to be smarter than that. Well, we can go ahead and move on if you guys want to. Keep going.
When are we gonna start it? When are we starting at?
I'm at 119.
I'm at 120. Yeah, that works. All right,
yeah,
cool.
We're all around the same. Okay,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just again kind of the willpower pile up section.
Will Power forgets how to drive quite a lot.
Yeah.
Lap 33.
Lap
This
33.
is the pit controversy here.
Yes.
How did you feel about that, Daniel? What was your first thought about it? Then comparing it to now.
So it's been a while since I've really remind me again the specifics of this because.
So I think the pit line was that cone line right there.
Right.
And then they were thinking it was that very first line right at the it was this one right here.
Yeah.
So they were thinking it was that very first one at the edge, like the last line that is the pit exit, but it was the second line, and it goes straight back. And he didn't beat the pace car, and that's what was the confusion. Because I think they said that they explained it in the drivers' meeting, but I don't remember exactly because this race was a long time ago. But
yeah, so, I do remember being a little bit confused. Obviously, this was a very confusing race. But here we are.
There's a big hole in the ground right there.
Something that I didn't notice that Conor Daly was running really well at this race.
Yeah, 7th. Yeah.
A lot of drivers that hadn't done quite well in the season were doing very well. Obviously, Hunter Ray.
Another McLaughlin caution. This is McLaughlin and Dalton got into each other, right?
No, it was Will Power
the Will
just
Power
decided
moment.
to take out all of his teammates.
Will
this
Power
race.
screwed his teammates in this race. I'm not a huge Will Power fan, but
no, really,
No. Hey, we haven't gotten into it. Yeah, here's where Pato O'Ward and Rossi kind of caused each other.
Yeah, I think he just locked up getting in.
Yeah.
And just Yeah, there was not much you can do there.
They tried to go too wide. Obviously, it was a very thin section of the racetrack, so they ended up hitting the tire wall. Here was the part of the race that it got very interesting, was when Herda was on his charge back up to the front.
Yeah.
This is when the racing was, in my opinion, some of the best racing we had seen in any of the motorsports. Obviously, it didn't end up lasting long because, of course, crashes and crashes and crashes.
Yeah. I think, like, personally, I don't know if they were clear on it with the announcers, because the announcers were just as confused as I think we were. But the pit line, it really put Herda in a bad spot. Like, right here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he should have
Yeah,
been,
and
technically,
here-
he should have been in the lead to what the announcers and, like, we knew. But I think they did, like, say that it was that line, and he did come out where he was, and he just was driving real hard. Like, real hard, as you
Right.
can see.
And then I want to pause it right here.
Okay.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I know. Here is when we saw Colton Herta really. This was very like, it kind of summed up how his season was, because Colton Herta had amazing drives this season, but obviously he is still very young, and we saw some of those youthful mistakes of just thinking you had more space, thinking he could drive it in a little bit too much than he actually could. And so during the chase down, when he's chasing down Ericsson and trying to take back first position in this race, he ended up just not quite braking as hard as he needed to, and ended up just hitting some of the chicanery. And as a Colton Herta fan, I was just, I was very shocked, surprised, sad, any emotion really.
Yeah, Daniel's texts to me that day were very interesting. Yeah, we won't say them on here because we are trying to keep this show not super that way. Trying to keep it at least a little family. But yeah, Daniel's response to that wreck was not very
Rage.
family friendly.
Rage.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw some Daniel Herda rage there.
Yeah, and one thing that I did find interesting is obviously, like, so on the IndyCar app you can listen to the drivers' comms. Obviously, it is a little bit before the TV, because TV has to delay it so they can clean up any swearing or words that they don't want, obviously, the television broadcast to hear. So I had the Herda
Scanner going.
I had his scanner going, and all of a sudden I heard, like, "Are you all right, bud?" Like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, he's still in the charge, and sooner than later, like 20 seconds, he's in the wall, and you could tell that. I think that moment is really going to stick with him for a while, because they were showing shots of him getting in the safety vehicles, and he just looked distraught, like he knew he really screwed up there. And obviously the man is 21, like one of the youngest drivers in motorsports, and he has so much pressure on him. So you could really see where that came into play there. Yeah, that was just an interesting aspect. I think we were really, throughout the season, we really saw a lot of growth with Colton Herta, and this was a big spot for it. I'm all good to start if you guys are.
Yeah, I'll talk one thing real quick about Colton Herta. I think that the big thing that we've saw from Herta in his entire career so far, and you guys can like come back to me on this or not, but I think Herta is an all or nothing driver. He reminds me a lot of what we saw from, I'm going to compare it to Takuma Sato a little bit. Me and my dad used to always joke that Takuma Sato goes into every corner expecting that no one is going to be in his way, right? And we see that a little bit with Colton Herta. We saw it with Ericsson coming out of that corner, went into that corner way too hot, and had to back off a ton. And we've seen it all season that he either has a race where he dominates or he wrecks, and there's really no in between.
This was both.
And if there is, for real, and if there is an in between, Herta kind of runs like eighth. And as much as I want to see Herta succeed, so much pressure. Obviously, being the son of Brian Herta, comes with a lot of pressure, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of a Austin Cindric situation. Like, Cindric, when he entered the Truck Series, had so much pressure on him being Tim Cindric's son. Still has so much pressure being Tim Cindric's son. A lot of people still don't believe he deserves the Penske seat. But I don't get how you can not think that he deserves the Penske seat. Anyway, we're on IndyCar. I think Herda. Go ahead.
Okay, no, sorry, I didn't know if you were done or not. You can go ahead and finish.
But Herda needs to, I think, this race definitely matured him. And I think we're going to see a different Colton Herta this season. I mean, Daniel thinks he's going to win the championship. I don't know. But I could see him probably getting like third or fourth in the championship.
I mean, he's already come in third before. In the 2020 season, he placed in third in the total championship. I think he could have placed a lot better if he had a little bit more consistency in this past season, because that was kind of his main takeaway. So I'm excited to see what happens next season. Jay, do you want to say what you were going to say?
Oh, yeah. So comparing him to people, I personally want to compare him to a younger Max Verstappen. So, like 2014 to even, like, 2019 Max Verstappen. That's honestly the most perfect example I could, like, give him is Max Verstappen, because Max Verstappen is a very aggressive driver. As you said, he thinks like he's cooled down about it in the last 2 years, but he was a driver that expects the corner to be his every corner, and I feel like as Herta goes along in his career, it's either he's got to realize that, or he's, like as you said, it's gonna be all or nothing. So it's either gonna be all for nothing, or this is going to be all or nothing. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to for sure be interesting what we see from Herta for the rest of his career.
Definitely.
Obviously, there was those rumors with him going to F1. Those fell through.
Yeah.
But
I wish it was true. That'd be cool.
Yeah, then Daniel would have to switch sport.
See, when that whole thing was happening, I was excited, but at the same time,
You told me you were so about it.
Yeah, I had mixed emotions. I was excited, obviously, for him, but I do think he is one of the most talented drivers in auto sports right now, and I would hate to see him almost have his potential wasted in F1 in a middle-of-the-pack car, when, as we see in Indy Car, when he has the chance to really be up front, he can really be a threat. So I think he's better off in Indy Car. Where do you think
he this doesn't need to go in, but where do you think he's ranked? Like, of all the most talented drivers right now that are in motors, like out of every motorsport, we're talking NASCAR.
I think he's
IndyCar, F1.
If we're talking
Supercars,
everyone,
IMSA. Like,
I would say he's
40.
He's for sure top 20.
What'd you say?
Top 20.
No, what did Jay say? Did you say fourth?
I said 40th.
40th. Okay.
I would say he's in the top 20. I don't know where in that top 20.
I wouldn't argue against top 20. I think he's up there.
I don't know if he's like top.
I thought you were about to say third.
No,
and
no,
I was like, you can calm down with that one.
No, because I think, like, whenever he hits his peak in his career, it's possible. It's very possible. He's got so much potential that he hasn't hit yet. I would say he's definitely top 20 right now. I don't know how high or where specifically in that top 20 is, because there are a lot of drivers of different sorts. But I think he will be, if his career keeps going as steady as it is right now, because he's only done 3 seasons of IndyCar and he has 6 wins.
Yeah.
And that's only going to grow. I do think by if he's going at the same pace by the time he hits his peak, I think he could probably be a top 5.
How many wins does Herta have in this season?
This past season he had 3.
No, this season. How many is Herta gonna have?
I mean, in my predictions, I have 5. I know, but
that seems like a lot. But I'm pretty sure Pelot won 5 races last season.
Here's the thing: last year he won 3, and he
I know, but
probably should have won Nashville.
Five is a lot different than 3.
I know.
And
He should have won Nashville.
5 is the difference between being first in the championship and 6th in the championship, as we saw with Colton Herta.
He should have won Nashville. I think that's a fair statement.
It is fair. Yeah, he should.
Very fair statement. He didn't get the chance to even run at Birmingham. He was taken out so fast.
Well, you can't really fight the fact that I don't. You can't say that if Colton Herta wasn't taken out on lap 1 that he would have won.
I don't know if he would have won.
I'm just saying, dude. There was like Palou dominated Birmingham.
Oh,
so.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't know if he would have won, but he didn't get the chance like for points at all. So he had a DNF for that.
It's true.
Which obviously cost him a lot of points because I believe he finished 5th in the championship. And obviously like he had a few DNFs, which very much cost him. I think you also take the DNF at the first race at Texas. Again, I don't know if he would have for sure won, but he would have been up there.
He would have been up there. I don't think he would have won. I'm trying to think about.
I definitely don't know if he would have won.
Because Palou got first, Pato was second, Jay was Dixon third.
I want to believe
in the championship.
Yeah.
Pato was third. Pato finished third.
So who was second? Oh, Newgarden.
I think Dixon was 4th.
So Dixon was 4th.
Yeah, I believe.
Erickson was 5th, right?
Hold on. I am pulling it up right now.
I think Herda was 5th.
I love how this immediately turned into our next segment.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, we don't even need to cover the end of this race. We all know how it ended.
Normally, guys, a basic episode is pretty much gonna go like start with news, then we go into our like main topics for the race, and then we go for like races until the main season starts. But yeah, this is a good one. I like this one.
Yeah. So I'll just list the top 10 because I don't think we need to really go past the 10. Number 1 is obviously Palou. Number 2 was Newgarden. Number 3 was Pato Award. Number 4 was Scott Dixon. And number 5 was Colton Herta. Number 6 was Marcus Ericsson. Number 7 was Graham Rahal.
Dude, I told you he was consistent as hell.
Really?
He was very consistent. Just never got a win, never got a pole, so people don't really talk about how good his season was.
That's why I put him as my wild card twice.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
I agree with that. Number 8 was Simon Pagenaud. Number 9 was Will Power, and number 10 was Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, looking back at last IndyCar season, it's amazing how everyone thought that Pagenaud was having such a bad year, and he was the second highest placing Penske driver in the point.
Yeah.
And like obviously we saw a subpar year from Will Power. Sorry, sometimes I don't like to remember his name.
You're good.
And we saw a subpar year from Will Power. But consistency, I'm starting to realize, is the way that IndyCar is turning into. And like kind of like that F1 consistency that we're starting to see, that IndyCar is becoming, and I love it. And it's cool. I think it's what we all kind of need right now. And I would love for it to look like that, but yeah.
I don't think.
Hey, really quick, is my connection okay?
It's kind of hit or miss a little bit.
It's all right. There's some points, but it's been mostly good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think my Wi-Fi just went out.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Are you there?
No, you're good. You're good.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Cool.
You froze for a second, and then you started moving again. I was like, oh wait, maybe it is good.
We can edit that out.
Yeah.
Let's just remember to edit this part out again, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want to say that last year in the IndyCar season, it wasn't really a Chevy year though at all. Like Chevy, because if you look,
Honda dominated.
Oh my goodness! Like if you looked at the 500, it the top half of the field was Honda.
Oh yeah, well, the thing
for a few.
The thing that I noticed, Honda typically was better when it came for poles. Like the 500, qualifying, almost all
race
Hondas.
pace. It was Chevy though.
The fastest Chevys, to my knowledge, was at Carpenter Racing.
Yeah.
Especially Renus VK. And as we saw in the race, Conor Daly.
Wait, really quick, I just realized Renus VK wasn't in that top 10.
Renus VK finished 12th.
Wow.
He had a very lackluster second half.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, we did see a lot of inconsistencies from him second half of the
He's
season.
still a young
It's
driver.
crazy because
so
he started off like so hot.
he started off very well, and then once he had his bike incident,
Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
he wasn't bad, but he obviously
He
just
probably
was
wasn't
not
at
quite the
full.
same.
He wasn't full.
Yeah,
Do you know
I
who
do think
wasn't-
next year we will
wasn't
see
in that top
a
10?
more competitive Rinus VK as a whole.
Hopefully.
Knock
I
on
hope.
would, but
Yeah. I like him,
He's a
so I hope he does
very,
really good
very
next
nice
year.
guy. I mean, he's my 500 pick, so I mean, I'm sticking to that.
I don't blame you. That's not a bad pick though. So
All right, let's. I guess we could finally get back to talking about Nashville. Obviously, Marcus Ericsson won this race. Super good race. If we
Yeah.
want to finish it up the video, we can, Daniel. If you
yeah, we can start that in 3, 2,
Oh shit!
1.
I already had went through. I thought
Oh.
we were going a little bit ago.
Well-
But my fault.
I'm at
There's
4.
a minute left. We don't have to pause. Obviously, this is just covering the Herda Crash. Very sad moment for me. But we do know that he's very good at that track. So next season, maybe he corrects those mistakes. And yeah, and this final lap, these last few laps, it was really just a question of if Scott Dixon was going to attempt to catch up to Marcus Ericsson, or if he was just going to play the strategy game, give his teammate the win. Surprisingly, in third and fourth was James Hinchcliffe and Ryan Hunter-Reay, both very solid drivers who were obviously towards the end of their career. James Hinchcliffe just ended his Indy Car full-time career. He might do some one-offs, and he might try some other motorsports. And then we still don't know about Ryan Hunter-Reay yet. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't signed anywhere. We don't know if he's done. But they looked very strong at this track.
Yeah, that was
So-
Hinch's only podium from his
Yes.
final full-time season.
At least he got a podium in his final season, so that's cool.
That's for real. I mean,
Yeah.
Because a lot of the talk towards the end of this race, because Hinch looked like he could push up to the front, people were wondering, if somehow the miracle of James Hinchcliffe winning this race happened, would he be extended, or would the rest of the lackluster year he still had still keep him out of that seat?
Right.
Obviously, didn't end up mattering because he didn't win the race. He only got a podium, which is still very good, but he is out of that seat, and Devlin DeFrancesco is taking it over next season. I'm excited to see
happy
what he
birthday,
does.
Devlin DeFrancesco.
Yeah,
Happy birthday, even though this will come out after. It is his birthday today.
Yeah, normally our episodes will come out on Thursday. We film them on Mondays, but super cool to see Hinch get a podium in his final season.
Yeah, so that was Nashville, and if we want to move into our question segment, I can start with mine because it is relevant to what we were talking about.
Okay.
We were talking about how some of the drivers who might have had lackluster seasons, we want to see them improve next year. So my question for you guys is, when it comes to the IndyCar cast of drivers next year, which one do you think will be the most improved driver?
I'll go first. Of
Yeah,
course.
go ahead. I got a minute to think about this one.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead.
fine. Of course, you have the two, Grosjean and McLaughlin. They're both really good. I mean, you can put Jimmy Johnson in there, but I think it's still going to take him a little while to learn an IndyCar after being in a NASCAR for so many years. So I give him at least another, if he continues in IndyCar, another 2 years. But, of course, Grosjean and McLaughlin. But I personally, especially after him stepping up to some better equipment, I have Jack Harvey being one of the more improved drivers. That is definitely who I can see improving. I just hope, honestly, his strategist is better, because he could. I feel like he had even in the what's the team, the 60 team? I forget their name.
Meyer Shank.
Meyer Shank, yeah. Even at Meyer Shank, I feel like he had a chance to win at Portland because he finished fourth in Portland. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, if you remember that or not, but. I feel like his strategist really screwed that up for him, because if I remember right, they kept him out way long, and he just ended up getting passed, and because of the guys on newer tires. If I remember right, I don't remember that race 100% to my.
He led a lot. He also had a really.
Yeah.
And so I could definitely see Jack Harvey being most improved.
Yeah. So hopefully in this new equipment, maybe new team, Like, I hope that he can get a win, at least one win this season. Not saying he is, but I just hope he does get one. And
Bobby Rahal's very high on him, so I would not be
Has
surprised.
Jack Harvey ever won in IndyCar?
No, not yet.
No.
So a lot of people think if there's going to be any new winners next year, that Jack
one of
Harvey will
them.
probably be one of them.
I think the newest. I don't have Jack Harvey as one of my winners. I think I have him as a wild card one. Most improved driver, in my opinion, is going to be the reigning Rookie of the Year, Scott McLaughlin. I think Scott's going to have a good year. I also think Romain Grosjean's going to have a good year, but I also have Scott and Romain winning a race. I have Scott McLaughlin winning at the Indy Road Course, and I have Romain Grosjean winning at 8-way this season. Yeah. But I think overall, I think Scott McLaughlin finishes top 5 in points this season. I think he's going to be 5th. Do I think he has a really crazy shot at the championship? No, because I think Dixon's going to win it this year. I think it's if I had to put my final championship predictions for the top 5, I have Dixon winning it. I have Palou in 2nd, Pato 3rd, Herda 4th, and McLaughlin in 5th. There, I could go through 6 through 10, but I'm not going to. You can probably fill it in your head. But yeah, I think that he's going to lead Penske this season. And obviously the Penske camp is incredible. And I don't know. I just got a feeling about Scott McLaughlin having a good year. I think we're going to be talking about him getting extended at Penske and having an incredible couple more years in IndyCar. Love that man. Can't wait to see him win at Indy. So
I hope he does, man. I hope.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Love that man. Love to get him on the show too. That'd be a cool guy to get.
I would love to get Scott McLaughlin on the show. That'd be
cool.
Hey,
Listeners out there, if any of y'all have connections to Scott McLaughlin,
man, send them to us.
DM me.
Yeah.
For me, I do kind of personally have it between two people. Obviously, the obvious one, Romain Grosjean. I do think he gets a win or two this year. A lot of people think he's going to automatically become a championship favorite or championship contender.
Let's pump the brakes on that one, homie.
Yeah, I think it'll take a year or two before he becomes like a top dog. If that happens, obviously the 28 was not super competitive last year, so we still don't know. But if he can outdrive the 51, I think he can outdrive the 28.
Yeah.
I do think he improves a lot.
I can see top 5 in points.
But my pick, who I think is going to improve the most, last season he finished in 21st, Felix Rosenquist. Obviously, he did end up missing some races due to the crash that I believe he had in Detroit.
Yeah, it was
where Oliver Askew had to fill in for the second one. And
I'm literally
the F1 guy. He was on Haas with Grosjean. I can picture his face.
I'm blanking.
Magnussen? Was it Magnussen?
Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen filled in for, I believe, just one race for him. But people forget, obviously it was when he was in Chip Ganassi. He's won a race before. But he's still never been like an amazing guy or amazing racer.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
I mean, it's crazy how that 10 car went from being
mediocre,
like good, but like
not
bottom half, like
Right.
top 20 to being, well, I guess top 20 is not that hard in IndyCar.
Yeah.
Like top 15, maybe a threat for top 10 to being a championship. And I don't know. I like Felix Rosenquist. I think he's going to succeed.
I do too.
That 7 car is going to be interesting this season.
My bold prediction for him, he was in 21st last year. Obviously, missing some races did kind of cause that to happen. I think he finishes top 10.
Ooh, we'll see.
I don't know if it's like
who falls out of the top
5.
10. Who falls out of the top 10?
I personally, I think some veterans kind of.
I hate to hear it because I think because he's one of my favorite drivers, but I think Newgarden has a bad year. I know that's your pick for the championship, Jay, but I think Newgarden has a bad year.
I think personally, I think Marcus Ericsson struggles next year. That's a bold take. Nothing against him. I just think he's gonna have. I think he's just gonna have one of those years where he's just coming off a really good year, just kind of has a year where he struggles because when you think about it, because talent-wise, he's like when it comes to how they finished, he was the third top Chip Ganassi car. I think priority-wise,
Alex Palou and Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
I think priority-wise of the 4 full-time things, I think he might be their 4th biggest priority because Jimmy Johnson is still on their team.
True.
And even though he's still learning the ropes, he's still Jimmy Johnson. And you can't discredit that. So I think the team's going to be doing a lot to help Jimmy next year. I do think Marcus Ericsson kind of falls out of that picture. I hope it's not for long, but I do think at least next year. I think Will Power falls out of that top 10. Maybe not by like he was 9th, so he was barely in there.
Power to rough year.
Yeah.
I think he starts to get to the maybe not the end of his career, but starting to get to the point where he's kind of waning out.
Bold prediction. Will Power doesn't win another race in IndyCar.
That's a bold prediction.
It's a bold prediction. Listen, as someone that doesn't like Will Power, that's a bold prediction.
But Tristan, what you're forgetting, they do the Indy road course twice.
That's right. Oh my gosh! From listening to the On Track with Hinch and Rossi podcast, like hearing Rossi talk about the fact that they've raced the Indy road course 6 times in 2 years, he's so done. He's like, just get me off this track.
Man,
it is a good track, but it's gotten overexposed.
I miss the 1 race a year at the Indy road course.
Yeah, I feel like when they do it in May, it feels a lot more special because it's kind of part of the 500 festivities. But
yeah,
that's just me.
They just randomly do it in August. I didn't go to it. I know you went, Dan.
I went to the May one.
You went to May. Did any of you guys go to? Wait, no, yeah, you went, Jay.
Yeah,
you went to the Grand Prix.
It was. I mean, it was about the same as it was in May. It's just hotter.
Yeah.
So, but really though. I mean, I guess the experience is a little different because, of course, the NASCAR guys are there too at the same time. So, the main difference between the May and the August, or it's gonna be July next year, I think, like right at the end of July. But I can't remember.
I'd have to look.
But the main difference between the two is really just like how the teams handle the temperature change, because it's like. It's not hot in May, but like it's still
hot
cooler.
in July.
It's hot in July though, so
that's why I'm mad that they moved it.
Yeah,
I loved it in August. I loved the Brickyard in September.
Man, I liked it when it was the final season, the regular season race that one year.
Yeah, they only did that 1 year.
2020.
They only did that 1 year.
I wish we could get
best.
I wish we could get an oval and the road course race at some point.
Yeah,
that's me.
Keep praying.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why I said that's just me.
You ask anybody outside of Indianapolis. Some of the people that are listening to this podcast, in conversations that I've had with people, for example, Darian does not want the Indy oval to return. Darian, of course, being Black Flags Matter, does not want the oval to return, and was probably the most excited person I've seen for the Cup road course. And while it was beautiful, nothing will ever beat those cars going over the yard of bricks and the right way.
And the thing that killed the Brickyard race was the Gen 6 cars. So hopefully with the Gen 7, maybe they try it 1 year just to see if it's improved at all.
People forget how good the 2017 Brickyard was.
Man,
I guess we'll see.
Do you know why the 2017 Brickyard was so good?
Because of the end of the race.
I cried that day.
Yeah.
That was
Casey Conor.
I can't believe I just said that. I bawled that day. I never thought I was going to see Casey Kane win again.
Man, I thought when I was there in 2015, it was him and Jeff Gordon at the end of the race. I thought I was going to see Casey Kane win in person, because Casey Kane was one of my favorite.
Kyle Busch won.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I've seen Casey Kane get close to winning so many times and in person. One time I don't go to the Brickyard, he
wins.
He couldn't wait until 2019. Yeah. Actually, he didn't even race in 2019. But couldn't race it.
Yeah, but that was my question. I know we kind of burned through a lot of time, so you guys can do your questions.
I mean, we're gonna pretty much cut this episode way short.
Yeah.
We'll see. Jay's gonna do some mad work in editing here.
I'm gonna have to.
Because that last segment that we were doing, we might have to cut that entire conversation, that debate with me and you had with
We're at an
Colton.
hour 20 minutes right now, though. So I mean,
Are we for real?
Yeah.
Dude, this episode felt so much shorter. But I mean, I'd like this episode to probably be lion.
Yeah.
Maybe like an hour.
Mm.
Anyway, I guess I could go on to my question since we're gonna do some more stuff. Eric Almirola has announced retirement from NASCAR. And I think I know where this question is going to go. Does Eric Almirola deserve a farewell tour?
No.
Like,
No.
I don't, just hear me out. Like
Okay,
Jeff
sorry.
Gordon and Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson? Or do you think that he gets pushed under the bus like Matt Kenseth? Like Clint
Can I
Boyd?
answer this again? No.
No.
Nothing against Amarola.
Man, for real, like
he's not a big name. He's not had a huge impact on the sport.
I do get that I mean, you think about drivers that retire out of the blue and that don't really announce retirement before the beginning of the season. The last one I can remember of them retiring out of the blue was probably before Clint Boyer. It was Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, obviously. That one hurt. But Greg Biffle just retiring at the end of the 2016 season because he was like, I don't have a ride. And then we saw that again in 2017 with Matt Kenseth. Obviously, Kenseth came back to run part-time in 2018 and full-time in 20. I'm excited I'm glad that Almirola announced at the beginning of, obviously, one of the more consistent drivers of the late 2010s era in the Gen 6 car. Sorry, I just knocked over one of my pop figures. Consistency is what I will always remember Eric Almirola. And I think that he should get a little bit of attention because the fact that Brendan Gaughan was getting attention at Talladega and like ahead of Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer got no attention at Talladega, I think we should give a little bit of respect to Eric Almirola, who was probably one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent driver of the 2018 season. Obviously wasn't in that Champ 4, but finished 5th in points. A lot of people forget that Eric Almirola finished 5th in points in 2018. But I'll always remember him as consistency. But yes, I do agree with you. He should not get a farewell tour.
I say if it's because like okay, Jimmy Johnson got his at Auto Club, like his and as you said, Brendan Gaughan got like the attention because if you look at Brendan Gaughan, he's been more of a super speedway racer, better at Talladega than Daytona. So I would say, of course, like he's more probably well known for Talladega, like racing on Talladega at least. So he got some attention there, which I don't think he should necessarily get like as much attention as he did.
Clint Boyer did get some attention at Kansas. I will say that.
Yeah, and so if anywhere that Eric Almirola does get attention, it's gonna have to be Daytona, in my opinion.
Daytona, just because of the first win there.
Yeah.
I mean, where's Eric Amarola from? He's from Florida, right?
I want to say he is. I'm not 100% sure where he is.
I'm going to look that one up real quick. Where is Eric Almirola from? Yeah, he's from Florida. Fort Walton Beach to be exact.
Yeah.
We might see him get some attention at Homestead since that's a playoff race.
I can see that.
This season, near the end of the year. But I guess we'll see. I mean, the only Cuban guy in NASCAR, Cuban descent guy in NASCAR right now. I think that I'm right on that, right? He's Cuban.
I think
so. It sounds right. Yeah.
I don't know. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, Florida guy. Florida's his whole brand that he's done throughout the late years. So yeah, either Daytona or Homestead, we see him get a little bit more attention. Tony Stewart obviously gets his at Indy, so does Jeff. But yeah, I don't think he deserves a farewell tour, but I do think NASCAR should put some respect on the name of one of the most drivers they had throughout the late 20s. So Jay, you can go ahead and move on to your question, man.
Before we move on, I don't think you should get a big thing. Give him a bacon cookout at one of the tracks, you know.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
All the drivers attend and all the fans are welcomed. all the drivers attend and all the fans are welcome to come to it. You know.
Also, does
But-
anyone else think that the whole reason that Amarola is retiring? I know that we're still talking. Smithfield is leaving, because I think that's the big
Probably.
reason.
That's
It's
been
gotta
his
be a
sponsor his
factor.
whole career.
He also wants to be a family man, and I get that he has 2 young kids at home.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big reasons Clint Boyer retired, which doesn't really make sense because he's full-time Fox.
Yeah.
But
Fox is only for half the season though, so.
that is true. That is
So.
true.
But I think like Amarola, like I think it's partly because Smithfield has been his sponsor his whole career. He hasn't had really a sponsor outside of Smithfield, so he probably and he's like I'm not like because like we all said he's not been like all-star superstar caliber of a driver, so probably doesn't attract that many sponsors outside of Smithfield. So
He doesn't win a lot, but a lot of people forget, even though he had such a terrible 2021, 2018, Eric Amarola was so consistent.
yeah,
And I keep bringing back 2018, but 2019 consistent. 2017, while he was with that RPM equipment before he got hurt, he was, and those 2020, that 2018 to 2021 will be what Eric Amarola is most remembered for, being consistent 2018 through 2020, 2021 struggling, but of course making the playoffs. Made the playoffs 4 years in a row, and
definitely.
that's hard to do. And so, credit to him, that 10 team. I'm gonna miss seeing good old AA in the Cup Series, so I'm glad we're gonna get to see him one final year. Obviously, as a Casey Kane fan, that's kind of hard to say, seeing as Eric Amarola's ride 10.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Jay. Talk about what you're gonna bring to the table right now.
Okay. So my question for you guys is, it's kind of a, I guess you can say like it's not a deep question, but what is your guys' greatest memory growing up from your childhood in racing?
I'm so glad you talked about this because I wanted this to be your segment, bro.
Yeah. If you want, I can start. I can explain my story.
Go ahead, because I gotta think.
So my story, I tell it a lot. It comes from the EA Sports 500 from 2006. If you guys don't know that race, it was Dale Jr. I was a big Dale Jr. fan growing up. It was Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, and Brian Vickers on the final lap.
Oh,
So
another one.
yeah, they were
You
coming
it made me think. I was like, all right, Junior, Jimmy. There it is. There's good old Brian.
Yeah. So the reason it's like a great memory to me is because to me it's kind of funny, but like it's not really like a great memory in seeing Junior get spun or whatever. But so they're coming down the back straightaway, Junior and then Johnson, and Vickers are teammates. So Johnson starts to step out, and Vickers reacts a little too late, hits Johnson, spins Junior and Johnson out, and takes him out of the lead on the final lap. So when that happened, yeah, and when that happened, 6 or 7, I think it would be 7, 7-year-old me at the time, I had my Dale Jr. diecast right here. I had my Martin Truex Jr. diecast right here. I'm sitting here right here on a chair, just watching the race. My family's behind me, watching with me. As soon as he does it, as soon as he gets spun, I stand up, I go, ah, and just throw my diecast across the house, dude. Just across the house. It like hits the wall. My mom yells at me, and it was not a fun time after that. But we won't talk about it. But yeah, I really like telling that story just because I think it's personally kind of funny. But all right, Tristan, you go ahead.
So, are we talking at the track or
it can be at home, at the track, watching on TV at the track, just like a family story, something.
I got one that I tell a lot.
Okay.
So this isn't my first race. My first race was in 2008. We'll talk about that one more at a different time. Probably my favorite race I've ever been to. Favorite or second favorite. It's kind of hard to beat the 2019 Brickyard for me. But the 2011 Coca-Cola 600 was incredible. Reasoning for that is same day, of course, as the Indy 500. And the 2011 Indy 500 special, seeing as this was Dan Wheldon's final career. Dan Wheldon, of course, being one of my favorite IndyCar drivers of all time. Dan Wheldon's final win. But the reason 2011 Coca-Cola 600 is special to me is because I got to see it with my dad. And I go to races with my dad all the time. But this one was special for us because we had both never been to Charlotte. My dad had taken me to tracks before that he's been to, Bristol, IMS, Daytona. We've like gone to those tracks, but I had IRP, but we'd both never seen a race at Charlotte, so we both didn't know what was going to happen. And that race is so memorable for me because of the stuff that had happened in the days prior. 9-year-old me, I'm wearing, I think I was wearing this one. This is 2010. Yep, I was wearing this one. So I hadn't bought my Red Bull Racing 4 hat that's back there. Gigantic Casey Kane fan. Was wearing this, wearing a Casey Kane shirt, was wearing like shorts, had my backpack on, and me and my dad are sitting in the Toyota like experience. And while we're in there, I hear over the intercom, the person with the most Casey Kane gear gets a free pass to meet Casey Kane. And I was like, Dad, we gotta go now. And so we ran, and I got myself a wristband that I was gonna meet Casey Kane the next day. Kept it on the entire day, wouldn't like let anything touch it. Nothing happened to it. The next day, I meet Casey Kane, and it just so happened that I was meeting Casey Kane while there was 5 laps to go in the 2011 Indy 500. And he signed my hats. I'm like in awe of this man that I've adored my entire life. And he's signing my hats. He signed my program. He signed 3 things for me. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Signed literally anything I wanted. And we're talking, and then my dad goes, there's 5 to go in the Indy 500. So me, my dad, and Casey Kane watched the final 5 laps of the 2011 Indy 500, which, in my opinion, had one of the best finishes in Indy 500 history, as J.R. Hildebrand slammed the wall. Casey Kane went, oh my gosh! And we screamed as Dan Weldon crossed the finish line, winning his second Indy 500.
Dude, you got to watch a race with your favorite driver. That's
favorite
nuts.
memory for me is watching the 2011 Indy 500 finish with Casey Kane and my dad.
That's actually dope.
Pretty dope finish. So
That's
yeah.
dope. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
And plus, that's just a good race in general, just because super good Coke 6. Actually, Casey Kane ran very well there. Led for pretty much the entire 4th section, final 100 laps before running out of gas going into the final caution. Him and Greg Biffle, it was between them for the win. And then after the final restart, looked like Dale Jr. was going to win. He ran out of gas. Harvick takes it on the final corner. So pretty cool finish.
Yeah. All right, let's hear it, Daniel.
For me, it's not necessarily just like a single memory. It's more just kind of one event, and just it was my first ever race. It was the 2013 Indy 500. It was my first Indy Car race. I had been to the Brickyard in 2011, but I've never really like followed NASCAR until quite recently. So like I kind of that was my first race, but I have more fond memories of my first Indy 500. And not necessarily like any specific moments, but just overall because 2013, I believe Ed Carpenter got the pole for that year.
Yeah, I think it was him. Because that was my first 500 too.
Yeah, he was one of my dad's favorite drivers. So just seeing my dad happy that he got the pole. James Hinchcliffe, who was my childhood favorite driver. If you guys think I'm a huge Colton Herta fan, I was an even huger James Hinchcliffe fan back in the day. And I believe he was on the front row. He was.
I don't remember that one, man.
I looked it up recently because I watched like the beginning and the end of the race, like a month or so ago. But yeah, he qualified well, so I was happy for that. He did really well during the race, so very happy throughout the race. And then obviously the winner was Tony Kanaan's first ever Indy 500, who was one of my parents. Yeah, first and only as of now.
As of now.
Never know. But yeah, he was one of my parents' favorite drivers, and everyone at the track just loves Tony Kanaan. So everyone was really happy that he won, and it was just a really good day. So like, I just have very fond memories of that day.
That's dope. Yeah, that's just a lot of memories shared with like your father and your family and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Dude, I would love to have a whole episode. Maybe we could do this one on like a bye week or something, where we just talk about racing stories. Like,
That'd be
that
cool.
would be such a dope episode. We could
Mhm.
have guests on. We could have our friends talking about racing.
Yeah.
That would be a dope episode. Let us know if you guys want us to have an episode where we just talk about racing stories. We could talk about our first races. We could talk about memories we have. We could talk about meeting drivers. Our experiences with Bob Pockris.
That we were 5 feet from each other the whole time
Oh my
and
gosh.
never associated.
Yeah, man. Super cool memories. I'm really happy that you brought that up because I was really wanting that to be an episode. But yeah.
We can do that though. We can do that at some point. Yeah.
Anyway, but that was this has been dope. So going into our final thing before we wrap things up, guys, we're gonna ask you guys to tweet at us #AskIndyBoys. So this is gonna be our hashtag for a new segment that we're gonna have at the end of episodes. Just a quick 3-minute segment. We're each gonna answer a question we see on Twitter. Ask us a question. It can be about us. It can be about our opinions on a track that's coming up, a race coming up, a driver, any auto sport. Ask us anything. #AskIndyBoys on Twitter. We'll all three be checking those. Best questions that we see will get put into the next episode. So yeah, hit us up on those. You can tweet at us, tag us, whatever you guys want to be able to get on these episodes. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. Yeah, I hope that'll help grow us a little more too, getting more social fan engagement stuff too. So I hope that works out.
Yeah, for sure. We would love to grow this. I mean, of course, we've told you guys before, we're just doing this for fun.
Yeah.
And we all three love racing, and if this grows into anything,
that's a phenomenal.
I mean, hey, I can't see the future, but we have big plans for this podcast that we want to do. So share it with your friends. Other people that love racing, your neighbors, your mom. Well, I'm joking. I'm messing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining Indy Boys Racing Podcast, episode 2. We really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Follow us on all our socials. They've been going on the entire time. Follow us on Twitter, Indy Boys Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Indy Boys Podcast. Signing off for Justin Cox and Daniel Chaney. My name is Tristan Grider. Have a good one, guys. Peace.